We are live. It would seem. Ah, there we go. YouTube says we are live. Okay. Computer. Pain in the ass. Yes, sir. Come on. It's a pain in the ass. There we go. Yes, sir. Nice to see you, William. What's up, brother? Good to see you. Good to see you. Let me go ahead and stick this at the top. The old thingamajigger. And anybody that wants to come up can. This is just basic old freedom forum, y'all. So feel free, jump on up if you want. If you don't, that's fine as well. All are welcome. And yeah, here we go. Oh, shit. I feel like I'm freaking been hit by a truck. Anybody know where the number on that their license plate? I didn't catch it. Oh. Ow. This is how my day goes, you know. Wake up, sit around for about 30, 40 minutes and just then go get some coffee. Maybe a little bit more awake. Then sit there and run around different forums and just say hi to everybody. And then start to get exhausted. Go, all right, well, that's okay. I just have to type in the chat and just keep that going. And then I go, oh, fuck it. Well, I'll just do a freedom forum then. And then I don't realize that I'm doing a freedom forum. And so now I'm dead on my feet, tired, and yet I'm on live stream. So if y'all bear with me right quick, I'm going to go make me some 90 weight. And let's have ourselves a good old time. Ooh, shit. Ja, bästa. Varsågod. Danke. Danke. Skills. That's the hoodoo for you. Won't let you pass without giving him his pettings and his love. A little bit of Java. So, anybody got a good subject, or shall we talk about the Red Dawn scenario at our doorstep? Come on. Don't you just love it when you got that espresso maker and the damn puck won't come out of it? Life is weird. All right. Maybe got enough for one left. Really? Ruh-roh, Raggy. Running low on a coffee. That's not a good thing. Okay. Half a puck there. Nothing there. Empty. Can't see in there. Ah, there's a little bit there. KP, good to see. Greetings to my Louisiana brother from another mother. Oh, come on. coffee. I got about half a puck. So, yeah. Hey, cuz. Yeah, they do. And the worst part is that the one country in the world that I would consider to be a near peer adversary, or our military would consider to be a near peer adversary for that matter, the only fucking country in the world that would be on that level, just so happens to control most of the electronic capabilities of the United States. You ever wonder why I was a little bit leery about Winnie the Ping? Yeah. Maxwell House. Oh well, I'll go get some coffee later. So, right quick, Maccabees, Keno, Song of the South, KP Heathen. Good to see y'all. I appreciate you coming by. I don't know why you'd want to hang out with, my ugly mug, but hey, I appreciate y'all the same. I got some fun little business that was brought to my attention. I don't know if y'all even saw my earlier community post, but feller over there at War Graphics decided to go and put down, some invasion, invasion of the American continent scenarios out there, just like kind of throwing them out there. And I'm like, dude, you don't understand. The only scenario that the United States military intelligence thinks that is possible is actually going on right now, if right under our noses, and very few people even know what's going on. In fact, I would argue that nobody knows what's going on, and I'm sitting here alone in that, because it's been happening for the past 15 years. Folks don't realize it, but it is going on. We are being invaded by China. And more of like a soft invasion, not so much of a hard military invasion at this point. That doesn't mean shit when it comes down to China. I want you to know, everybody in China is in the military. Everybody, without a fucking single person being excluded. Everybody in China is part of their military. So even though, there's most of them are reserves or retired, but yes, every single person in China is part of their active military if they were to ever go to war. Something to think about. So that's at least 1.7 billion strong military. Okay. Now, that being said, morale plays a huge part in any invasion in a foreign land. You can't count on just simple patriotism or stoicity in the face of absolute destruction due to defending your homeland, because you are an invading force. So it comes down to the simple fact of how, what's the actual numbers on the field, what are the real outcomes of the situation, and how would they actually do things. So I sat back and I remembered back to when I was about 18, 19 years old, And I was sitting there just watching the news, and I believe it was either General McKinley or General Hammer said, did a speech in front of the West Point cadets, and it was national news. Actually, it wasn't when I was 18 or 19. It was actually when I was 14. No, 13. I was 13 when he did that particular. And the reason why I know this is because it was right before 9/11. He basically said what I said in the comment section of that particular video. And if you go back and you see the community post that I made, I basically point out, that's what had actually happened. I'm pretty sure I set that up as a community post. It might not be a community post. I might have sent it as a text only. So if it's not a community post, I will be putting it up there. But I want to point out that the scenario is that the way that China in particular, but any foreign military would ever be able to invade the United States would have to be through clandestine means. They would not be able to do so through a open engagement at first. Their first strike could not actually succeed in an open engagement. And the reason for that is that America's military might is way too overpowered for that. Okay? Openly declaring war before invading our country would literally be just, basically saying, here I am, kill me now. Because the reality of an invasion, under the contract of war, means that the other guy knows that you're coming. And if the other guy has way fucking more powerful of a military than you do, well, that's what we call military suicide. So that's why they would do it clandestinely. Furthermore, and actually a lot more scary, there's the thing that the Chinese wouldn't actually think about very often unless they're talking a military invasion of the United States. And that is the United States militias. Okay? And that is, like I said, that's just ordinary armed civilians, but the ordinary armed civilians in America are not like civilians in any other country of the world. We are the most highly trained with firearms and explosives and other equipment of war. As far as civilians are concerned, anywhere in the world. And that's not being conservative. That's being just straightforward and realistic. Okay? We have the most powerful militia in the world. There's nobody on this planet that does like we do as far as the militia is concerned. And that's saying something, because there are places that have militias like America, an armed populace. Okay, there are places like this in the world outside of the United States. So I'm just pointing out to you that it's suicide to do so declaratively. Now, even not declaratively, clandestinely, yes, they would make more progress initially. However, that progress would be slowed and stopped and reversed very quickly because, as I said,
of the militia. All right, Maccabees, take care of, brother. Sister. Wait, I forgot. I don't care. Take care of. Yeah, it's a matter of, it would literally be suicide no matter which way you slice it. But that doesn't necessarily matter when it comes down to the way that, you know, the Chinese rhetoric and the Chinese propaganda goes and how they portray the United States and whatnot like that. Okay? Similar to how the United States portrays the Chinese. We have to understand, yes, they have a very powerful military. They don't have a militia. So that is one thing that we can honestly say that would make it so that they don't understand why, even though we have a smaller military, we have a greater amount of fighting force on the battlefield. And it all comes down to how many troops can you field at one time in a specific engagement. On the American continent, that would be minus 15% of our military might, plus 100% of the United States militias. And further than that, also at least 20% of average civilians who don't normally go armed. Let's be clear about that. Okay, we're talking a military fighting force of about 480,000 people with military equipment, military training, doctrine, strategic knowledge, all that shit, you know, and intelligence in the field, plus 40 million gun-toting Americans and another 500 million, okay, 500 million regular civilians. That's a lot of motherfuckers out there to go and fight when all you've got is a landing party of a couple thousand. So that's the reason in particular why I think it would be a clandestine operation in the beginning. What they would do is they would vacation into place, and once all the pieces on the board are absolutely perfect, that's when they would drop the first of the dominoes to fall. And how they would do it is first by passive and aggressive sabotage of American infrastructure and American logistics. Then they would move from that into a counter assault to the defenders trying to oppose a landing party on any beach in the continental United States. From here, they would establish a beachhead, and it's a guaranteed situation because of the fact that you have a two-pronged assault against a smaller force. Any time that we're talking landing craft in a beachhead, we're talking about, if it's a clandestine situation, then the landing craft coming in are not going to be so much spotted or known of by the military, all because of already having had communications cut between these operators on the field, you know, in defense, and the mainstay of the military. Okay, so this particular assault would not go as so much as being seen in the first part where they establish the beachhead. After they've established beachhead and they start to create what's called a penetration run, trying to travel across the country in one way or another. Once this starts to happen, they become overt in their military their military action, which is an act of war. It's an undeclared act of war, but it's still an act of war. And according to the conventions of war, this is an open, so it's kind of open season fight now. Okay. So America responding would field tons of militia, tons of civilians, and all of the military that we have capable here in the United States. After this happens, the Chinese, or what, I'm just using the Chinese as a for instance, not necessarily it's going to happen that way, but okay, the Chinese invaders would then be repelled and then gain more ground, and then be repelled and gain more ground, and this is how this would work. Their wins would start to decrease and their losses would start to increase. At this particular point in time, the military would start to really stack on the pressure, pushing them back to the ocean. And because now it's a declarative situation, the United States Navy has the capabilities, even if the surface ships are gone, to be able to reduce their surface craft to basically nothing. Some submarines would be able to slip through. These submarines would be utilized in order to provide military personnel and ammunition on the ground there, however small it might be, and lacking in its capability to actually give what is necessary to keep up that war effort and keep the pressure on. So inevitably, the Chinese would be driven back into the sea. Knowing that they have lost their footing on American soil, the Chinese would respond in a specific manner, which we all know. They would utilize nuclear weapons. Because we know this, we would be expecting it at that point, and would have already made many, many, many more bomb shelters than we have now. And there's a lot of them already. After the first exchange, well, I won't even call it an exchange. After the first commitment of nuclear weapons by the Chinese, the United States would come out of their shelters, out of the ground, and unleash untold destruction on the Chinese mainland and on any Chinese-held areas, turning the surplus population of animals, human beings, and bacteria to zero. The underground population that may have gotten to caves or bunkers, known sites that are bomb shelters in China, would then be targeted by B-21 Raiders, B-2 bombers, and B-1 bombers, utilizing MOP, Moab, truncheon, G-BOP, and the tungsten heavies in order to destroy those bunkers, reducing further the Chinese will to fight. By the time that this is all done, the United States would, in essence, be the true victors in this war. However, it would be at an unimaginable cost. This is why our military is so keen on just pulling these little tiny pieces out of the fucking play so that they can't actually get the buildup they need. And it's precisely because of that that we have not seen the overt side of the invasion yet. They are already doing the covert side, and I want you to know that. This scenario specifically was gone over at West Point and is considered by the scholars of West Point to be the only viable scenario for invasion of the United States. That's not saying that it would be a successful what's it called? They would not be able to actually completely overwhelm the United States to the point where we would not be a military force. There would be, it just would not happen. because of geography, because of our specific capabilities, and also specifically because of the 40 million strong militia in the United States. And when I say the 40 million strong militia, that's not including the guys who are out there LARPing. This is just the people who go out hunting with deer rifles. 40 million Americans do that every year. So that's just the hunting, just the hunters. That's not including the LARPers. That's not including the freaking the bro vets. That's not including the freaking the Burt Gummers. That's just the deer hunters. Dude, yeah, they do. I've been hunted by a deer. Yes, they do. They do hunt you back. Don't believe me? Go lay your happy ass full stretch out in the middle of a wood ball, and then when them deer come walking through the area, and that one doe comes up going, I want you to understand that motherfucker's about to kill you. Dog out. I'm just telling you the truth. They do hunt you back. One time I went deer hunting. The one time I went deer hunting, I was hunted by a deer. They will literally stab you to death with their hooves. That's their main attack, actually. They don't try to gore you with their antlers. Even the bucks, they won't try to gore you with their antlers. They'll try and stab you with their hooves. And yes, they do hunt you back. So this is one of the reasons why I says, that deer hunters are one of the largest militias in the United States. Okay? Because in the essence of a common enemy, we stop fighting amongst ourselves, and everybody turns around and goes, oh, I pity a fool. So, yeah. Because Osama bin Laden didn't declare war until after, as the same as Japan. And both of those actions were actually successful against the United States. Okay? They were not necessarily successful invasions. However, they were successful military actions against the United States. So I do have to give you that. But I'm just telling you, this is the only scenario that West Point, like the military academy of military academies in the world, actually accepts as a possibility. Everything else is fucking stupid. It's non-starters. The entirety of the world against the United States is the only winnable scenario, and even then, it's very, very, very just. It's so remote of a possibility that you'll get laughed out of the room if you suggest it. That's how remote of a possibility it is to actual military war gamers and planners. So, yeah, the rest of the world isn't going to attack us. One individual country might, and that would start off the chain of events of a world war, but that starting point would be a successful invasion of the United States and then a successful repulsion by the United States and further utilization of nuclear exchange, which would kick off a further global conflict, but that's not what I was on about. I was on about the actual invasion point. Okay. So, yeah, they never really formally declared war because they never actually utilized the phrase which was supposed to be used according to the Geneva Conventions after World War I, and that is, we as a sovereign nation, this particular place, do so declare war against such and such so much peoples of this nation. They never said we declare war. They said tensions are so great that there is inevitably going to be hostilities between the United States and Japan, and we are cutting diplomatic ties. Expect imminent attacks, which is a real motherfucker to try and get out of that. We're going to war and they're going to attack Pearl Harbor. That's my point. They never actually openly declared war. And see, that's what I'm saying about China. We've been in conflict with China for the past half a century. And I don't know if people know this, but it's a reality. We have been fighting on a diplomatic scale and on a political scale, and the peaceful side of things, as peaceful as it could be considered. I mean, just okay, we'll say it this way: without military engagement for the past 25 years. That's how long we've been going at it with China. And yet we buy shit from them all the time. Now, on the flip side of it, in the effect of an actual invasion, an actual military action, all bets are off. They might pull a fucking rabbit out of their ass. Who knows? And this is a reality that a lot of military war gamers won't think of. They don't want to think of it this way. Maybe they'll pull a rabbit out of their ass and get, be able to utilize proper strategy, this, that, and the way in certain places to be able to circumvent, mistakes made and be able to actually force us back, which honestly, China is the only one singular nation that is militarily capable of doing that. However, again, it's a disorganized offense versus a united defense. It never works out for the disorganized offense. Ever. Ever, 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 ever. So that's why I'm saying that it would be inevitably, we would respond with enough venom and vigor to be able to repel any invader. And this, if you don't believe me in this, I want you to turn around and look at Ukraine. They're getting our weapons, but they're fighting like we would on our soil. Okay? And they're fighting against one of our supposed near peers, not theirs. Yet they are pushing Russia back and invading Russia itself. You see how this is going? This same scenario is what would play out in America. In fact, it would be more so in America. We wouldn't have the same amount of falling back and falling back and falling back as the Ukrainians did, because we already have the weapons. We already embrace our violence. That's the difference here. Ukrainians, they until things got dire, they weren't really embracing their violence. They were on the level of, well, yes, but no, but yeah, okay, but everything's peaceful. It's okay. Just, keep your ass on that side of everything, Putin, and we're all right. No, they didn't realize until they needed to that they had to embrace their violence. We Americans, on the other hand, are literally saying, I wish a motherfucker would. Come on, please, please, I want some. Are you game? Let's go, boy. Let's have some, y'all. You gonna get some. I'm gonna get me my gun out. And I tell you what, them boys down in the South, they know how to fucking find some pretty inventive ways of blowing shit up. So that would be a bad idea for. In fact, the only point that I could find that was actually justifiable as an invasion point on the United States is Portland, Oregon. It's the only fucking place in the entire United States that would be possible to make an invasionary force be able to get in there because of the fact that it's so chaotic here. There are so many crazy people here, looped out on drugs, nut bars running around, people burning down buildings that they don't even fucking get and even know why. They are just doing it. People shitting in the streets, not taking care of themselves, illness is rampant, things like that. That's what makes this a soft target. Everywhere else in the United States, even fucking Los Angeles, California, are hard targets. And I'll tell you why. Up here, yeah, you got a bunch, gun-toting country boys out here. You got a good military base here. However, you basically got what, a couple hundred on base at any one time. Most of the civilians out here own guns just to go hunting. They're not really all that militarily inclined. They don't understand strategy all that much. Some of them are police officers, retired or whatnot. Some of them are military, retired and whatnot. But for the most part, here near around Portland area, within, the general 50 miles of Portland, a bunch of fucking pansy asses. And it does kind of piss me off. You got to understand, me coming from just that, that American Southern perspective of things, we play around with things that go boom just to have a birthday candle. We ain't fucking worried about all this shit. But you talk to some of these folks out here, like, if China invaded tomorrow, what would you do? I'd help them, is what most of them say here. I would help them. That's why I think that Portland is a soft target. That's why I think that this particular region around where I'm at is actually a soft target. With a lot of fucking, porcupine quills, I'll give you that. But at the same, it's still a soft target. This is the soft underbelly of the United States. Here in New York City. And this is because of the infiltration that has already happened. If you think I'm lying, let's turn around and take a look at Biden. I don't need to say anything more. It's literally that bad. So, yeah. New York, Washington, D.C., and Portland, Oregon. Those are the weak points in America. You're not coming through the southern border. You're not coming through the northern border. Canada, they think it's called the Geneva Suggestions, not the Geneva Conventions. Okay. And Articles of War, what are those? Oh, and just for instance, if you think that Mexico is going to be an easier one. ¿Qué estas las ferias, Holmes? You got the money, Holmes? All right, well, we'll let you use our tunnels for a couple of days, but once them white boys find out, you're going to die, homie. That's what they say. So it would not come from Mexico. It would not come from Southern California. It would not come from, the Gulf of Mexico. Too many Southern boys there. It's just it's a deterrent in itself. Not to mention the gators, the wolves, the coyotes, the bears. Yeah, don't even worry about all that. You got rifles, right? No, them Southern boys. Every single one of them has a shotgun, a fucking 4-wheel drive, and a 45. And every last goddamn one of them knows how to make a claymore out of a box of ball bearings and a soda pop bottle. Every last one of them. So, yeah, that's not going to go over well. However, barring the fact that you can carry, open carry, in the state of Oregon, as long as it's a 6-shooter pistol, all right? Most Oregonians don't carry weapons. They don't train with them. And I say most because let's look at where the population density is. Portland, Salem, Eugene. Everywhere else is all rurality central. I mean, it's mostly country boys and military. Those are the ones that you really actually do have to worry about if you're invading the United States. However, they wouldn't know what's going on until it's already happened. That's the unfortunate reality of being a militiaman. You have to be in the situation, and now you know what's going on. Before it goes off, you don't know fuck all. You're just kind of sitting there with your dick in your hand going, well, looks like a bright, sunny day. And that's how that goes. That's what the life of a Minuteman is. You are happy-go-lucky. Pick up your gun and fire, motherfucker. That's literally how fast it goes. It's at the drop of a hat, snap of a finger. Everything twitches around. Everything shuts off. You flick the switch and it goes, from night to day, kind of from peaceful, happy-go-lucky, joking around, drinking a beer to shooting as many fucking rounds down range as you possibly can get off in that fucking second, and then finding some way to make something go boom. That's literally the life of a Minuteman. And your life expectancy is about a minute. That's how it looks. That's the way it is. In any engagement, the life expectancy of a militiaman in contact is 1 minute. And that's because we're fucking trained enough to be able to last that long. That's it. So you got the military, you got the militia, you got the civilians, you got the terrain. Now let's talk allies. All right. In the instance that our allies choose to get involved because we've been attacked, understand that we would literally just stand back and let Canada go. It's kind of just like one of those, hey, have fun. And just sit back and take pictures. Dog out, come on. No, I'm talking to people on the tubes. So yeah, we just sit back and just let them go. And it's like having a more polite yet equally vicious hat as the UK. You know, it's just like one of those, you know. They'll say sorry as they're stabbing you in the chest with a fucking bayonet and then pulling a trigger on your ass. They'll tell you they're sorry as they shove a grenade down your pants and then hightail it away from you. Oh. Hey, Grant. Yeah, it's the Chi-Coms. They're trying to just check out and see what I'm telling people because I know more about the Chinese military doctrine than a lot of our, you know, our average Joes. So I'm sitting there just laying it out for you. But yeah, it's kind of funny. It's funny because these motherfuckers know that I know their playbook. I know every single part of it, in fact. I was trained specifically to fight that war. So yeah, all of the rest of it is like, you know, this is what militiamen wait for in the United States. This is what we're sitting there going, God, please, please, I want you to. I love moving targets. That's literally what most of the militiamen here in the United States are doing. That's honestly the real militiamen, the real Minutemen. That's what they are trained for, specifically. Yeah, of course not. Widow's Diary. This is one of those, you know, things that as long as I'm sitting here spouting about things that are sensitive information, they get their fifis in a bundle and their panties in a wad, and they can't actually let me get out there and talk to folks and actually get the information out to be able to protect people through their minds. That's literally what they're doing. They're softening the target. I'm looking at the counter right now. There's only 4 people here. For those of you that don't know, right up here in this particular corner of the video that's being shown to you, I have what is called a time counter and a watch counter. And the watch counter tells me how many people are watching. The time counter tells me how long I've been live. So, yeah. Anyways, so yeah, this is one of those scenarios where we as Americans are constantly going, please, I motherfucker would. I wish a motherfucker would. And the Chinese are going, how do we do this without them knowing? And if you haven't noticed, that's why you're not getting notifications. That's why it's not being said to anybody. So yeah, go ahead, share it out. By all means, like, share, subscribe, get this past the algorithm and all that crap. You know, this is just to try and run you into a realization of what we are looking down the barrel of. And why I'm so adamant on getting things together and doing things so that I can get myself set up so I could be an appropriate Minuteman in the field. Because it's been a long ass struggle to come back from all that. I'll tell you what, the United States government has done more damage to my liberties than any other country in the world has ever. And I want to make that clear. The caveat being my liberties. So, in respect of that, that's why I'm trying to do everything so freaking by the book and on the line and on the freaking right and proper, as to make it so that they have to turn around and say, you know what? We literally cannot stop him. Because by that very nature, we'd have to stop everyone. So Shit. Got to give him his guns. Got to let him have his guns. Got to let him play around with explosive. Got to let him have tanks and fucking mess around with jet fighters and shit, because that's just the way that it is. We got to let him do that, because otherwise all the rest of these people that we've also done this to are going to come after us. So we have to let this person who's doing it right be able to use that option. And yeah, YouTube's going to be unstable. It's going to be shoddy. And I'm just telling you, because I'm telling things out there that they fucking hate that I'm saying, because it's God's honest truth. I am not going to sit here and try to tell you something in order to make your feelings feel better. I'm going to give you the raw God's honest, and it's going to scare the ever-loving shit out of you and piss you off, as it should. And that being said, I don't want people to go out and do crazy, stupid, dangerous shit. I want you to be enlightened as to what is reality. Because reality doesn't give a fuck about your personal feelings. It doesn't care about your whims. It is, and it will be, and that's what it's all about. That's simply, it exists. This is reality, and nothing you do is changing it. Plain and simple. No matter how much you scream, shout, and cry and live in a fantasy world, your fantasy world is not reality. Reality doesn't care about your fantasies. These are the real situations, and that's why I'm going through them. I know that this is going to happen. Not because, I'm sitting here going, oh, well, propaganda this, and then worldwide tensions that. No. War is a money and numbers game. Plain and simple. There is no other reasoning for it. Anything else is literally militia action, defending your own home. Plain and simple. So that's why, in a nutshell, I'm pointing these things out. It's not going to be pretty. It is going to happen. It is happening. We're just not, well, I'll say it, most people do not understand that that is the case. It is happening. The passive and aggressive sabotage, especially. Are you not watching the freaking news? Are you not seeing what these people are doing? Yes, the news is utter bullshit and propaganda, but every load of bullshit, every lie that has ever been told convincingly has a grain of truth behind it. This is what I'm talking about. The grain of truth is that these train derailments are happening. The subterfuge within our own government is happening. The attacks on our national power grid are happening. These so-called mass casualty events are happening. And not all of them are as flashy as the media would have you think. That's what I'm trying to point out. It's all part of a clandestine operation. Chinese special forces working against the United States within our general confines. And I wish I could just like bring out all the evidence of it, but that's the sign of a good special forces operator. There's no evidence. Except for the damages done. There's no paper trail leading back to these people. They're just tourists. Dog out now. You're not allowed to be in here. The reason why the door is open is not so that you can walk in, but so that the air can come in here. Good God, dog. Any Hoosiers. This is the scary situation. This is the shit. This is what I have been terrified of since I was 8 years old. There's not a lot of shit out there that scares me. I'm going to be fair and honest. I have literally fished alongside of a fucking puma. Not 10 foot away from it. Not a lot that scares me. However, human beings with a military intent untoward the United States, being untoward in the effect of how their relations with the United States are. I mean, that scares the fuck out of me. And it should scare you so fucking goddamn shitless that you are buying a gun right now. Looking online for one, because it's real. I'm not trying to lie to you. I'm not trying to fear porn you into anything, not fearmonger you at all. This is real. It's happening right now in front of you. And this is the problem I keep coming back to. Of course, this information isn't going to get out there. I know they're going to suppress it. And this is why I want you to go around and tell people this is what's going on. There are saboteurs at every level of our government. There are saboteurs at every level of civilian life in the United States. And there are saboteurs in our fucking military right now. If you don't think I'm telling the truth, then ask yourself, why would somebody who wants to have a robust and powerful military force, which is a fighting force, built for marching over the dead bodies of the enemy, why on God's green earth would you ever want them to have their pansy-ass fifis involved in military situ? I don't give a fuck about your gender pronouns. I don't give a fuck about your fucking sensitivities. Shoot the enemy. March over his carcass. That's what the military should be teaching. Instead, they are teaching inclusivity and, even though you're a fat body, don't worry, you're okay to be in the military because, we got fat camp. You can deal with that there. Instead of showing us that you want to be in the military by making the extra effort to go through the shit and get yourself physically fit to be able to handle the APFT and the further ACFT. This is what I'm talking about. We have saboteurs at every level, all the way to the bottom, all the way down to the civilian aspect, the militias. I know Minutemen who are sitting there going, maybe we shouldn't have guns. And I'm going, what the fuck are you talking about? You're a Minuteman, for God's sake. Why the fuck do you want to give up your guns for? But, you know, I digress. What is it? It's not my decision, it's theirs. This comes back to the fact that these people are getting little whispers put in their ear. And those little whispers are the most effective weapon of any special forces soldier on the face of the earth. When you are not directly involved, you can continue to operate. That's why they use the little words in people's mouths and people's ears. Getting people who are gullible enough to do the damage to go do the damage, while they sit back and wait until all is at the absolute perfect level. And it's the right moment then to create the attack. The invasion would be sudden because they're not going to declare it. We wouldn't even know it is coming because they do it in a way that we wouldn't see it on our satellites because they know about our satellite capabilities. This is the thing I'm talking about, all right? We know how they would operate. The difference is that we also know that we would not be able to stop them before they actually did it. We would only be able to repel them after they've done it. And that's the reality of the situation. This is why I don't want you to live in a state of blissful ignorance. Because for every moment that you go by the wayside and you don't think about what the outcome might be, that's another minute you could have been training, could have becoming proficient, could have been becoming capable, and could have actually been understanding what is going on in the world around you. And this is why I'm big on actually learning the hard things, hearing the harsh realities, because I want you to survive. Anyways, so that this is not too long of a video and people can actually get through it, I'm gonna cut this off because you know, nobody wants to use it as a freedom forum. I'm just sitting here rambling about, you know, invasions and shit like that. So, oh well, y'all, it's been grand, and I hope you take this information and you use it, and you use it to aid and benefit society and this country as a whole, and yourself in your everyday life. I am ye old guardsman on. I wish you the absolute motherfucking best. And I hope to God you're getting out there and training hard, because it's a coming. Are you ready? As it were, I'm out, motherfuckers.